Welcome to this look at a new mod map on Farming Simulator 19 with me, MrSealyp. This is Poppy Plains, Les Plans du Cocolico. This is by AGModding, 214.36 megabytes to download. Potentially it may need an update depending on your perspective. This is the map. We have a farm here where we start that has a sleep trigger, has a cow farm opposite, which is fixed in place. We've got a couple of sell points. We've got a pig farm and a chicken pen, all in one, also fixed in place. And then we've got biogas plant, lime station, the main store. We're going to go around and have a look at those anyway. The map's quite nice. You've got these forested areas. Now, you can drive right out onto these forested areas. They are a mixture of those really horrible bendy trees, birch trees, and a few kind of pine, fir type trees. So you could do logging, but there's not a sawmill on the map. Not that that's a deal breaker. You don't have to have a sawmill, because if you don't do logging, it's not going to affect you in the slightest. Here's where the problem may occur. I'm on New Farmer, normal economy. The slot count is 477 out of 1299. That is the same on Farm Manager and Start from Scratch. The slot count's the same on all three, and your start machinery is the same on all three. We'll have a look at the start machinery in a minute. On New Farmer, we start with all of this. So, the area with the cow farm and the sleep trigger, field 47, all the periphery, this section across the middle, couple of fields, the area with the pigs and the chickens, and all around here, which is great. However, a big chunk of that is the periphery, and if I click on that to sell it, that periphery is worth 9,475,128. The problem with that being the biogas plant is part of that, as is the pigs and chickens, as is the cows. So you can see where this may be going. Now, does it stop you buying cows? Does it stop you buying pigs or chickens? It doesn't. No, not at all. But what it will stop you doing, if you don't own it, is putting placeables down. Because the other thing you don't start with is a farm silo. So if you come on here like I have on New Farmer, you own it all. If you come onto your Farm Manager or Start from Scratch, you don't own any land at all. So to be able to put silos, placeables, anything down on the two farm areas, it's going to cost you, and to get the biogas plant, if you want to do biogas, nearly 10 million. That surely needs to be fixed. Surely that needs to have, these needs to be separately purchasable, as does the biogas plant. Because like I say, that will cause a bit of an issue, unless of course you're quite happy to put in government subsidy signs, whatever you're going to do, buy it all up before you start your Let's Play, then it's not an issue. But I can see some people won't want to do that, so it could be a problem. The biogas plant itself is a standard biogas plant. Once it's owned, depending on what you come on here with, it's pretty standard. Now, as far as the sleep trigger goes, that is only there on New Farmer. On Farm Manager or Start from Scratch, there isn't a sleep trigger, as far as I can tell. Of course, if you buy that land, then potentially it could pop up again. So, a bit of a tricky one. Field prices, though, all that being said, field prices are pretty good. We've got about 33 grand for, I think, one of the smallest, 42 might be a bit smaller, 18 grand, up to fields 24 and 29, I think, are about the biggest, maybe 50. 487 grand, 493 are probably two of the biggest as far as I can make out. So let's have a look round at what we've got anyway. The farmhouse is here and the sleep trigger is down by the garage doors. You can't go into the building, but I like the way it's kind of set down with this kind of basement area, garage area. Not technically underground, but within the slope itself. We cross the street into the farm area, and we've got two silage clamps round to the right. just tucked in there. And our start machinery is here. And this start machinery is what you start with on all 3 game modes. Go to garage. You'll see we've got case Puma 185 CVX, a TX32, TKD 302 Agriline trailer, header for the TX32, horse cultivator, seeder, and that's it. You don't start with very much, in all honesty. That's your starting gear. Now, I have come on here and had a bit of a play on here. I have bought all of the animals. Not on this, you know what I mean, on the map. I have bought all of the animals. I have fed all of the animals to see where the triggers were and to see where things appear. We've got some big barns and shelters here at the main cow farm. I couldn't find a light switch for any of this. But cows, dialogue box is just here, and this will hold 200 cows. Your trigger for feed and bedding was just along here. Your milk trigger is just there. And if we go across here, we've got a slurry point there and our water trough just here. All very nice. There is a gate around the side as well, so if you want to access the water trough without having to come through the yard, depending on what you're using, you absolutely can. But I left it running for about 3 or 4 game hours. I sort of sped up time a little bit. The problem was that when you put straw in here, the straw sat up level with that lip, so it was off the ground. I couldn't find the manure. It was producing manure. I couldn't find where it was appearing. Now, it may well have been appearing underneath the straw texture, but I couldn't see it anywhere. So I'm not too sure with the cows where the manure was appearing. It was saying on the menu that it was appearing. I just wasn't sure where that was. The cow pasture runs around the back in a U shape, right the way around the main farm and around the back there. I like the layout of that a lot. I think that's really nice, really cool. So let's grab the Puma and let's get around the map. There are no custom crops on the map. There are no custom mods on the map made by the mapper or put in by the mapper. Contracts are available. The actual landscape, the layout of the map is really nice. There's no traffic, or at least I haven't encountered any at all yet. And I've been around this on all 3 game modes to check the slot counts and stuff like that. I haven't encountered any traffic. I will say there are a couple of bits that are a little bit clunky. As you can see, the road layout isn't smooth everywhere. You've got some sort of sharp edges bits to it, but it's a minor thing. But you know, like I say, I always do. I'll point it out. But I like the openness as well. There's no fences or hedges. I mean, around the cow pasture there is, but it's all pretty much open other than that. The first of the sell points is there's 2 Unial. I think it's Unial sell points. The first is here. Well, I say the first one we're coming to. So if we go onto the menu and go across and we have a look, we've got the biogas plant, which is already on here on New Farmer, Commerce de Bestiaux, and then we've got Laiterie and Unial. The second Unial, because there's 2 on there, it won't let me bounce to it. The second one for prices is this one here. If we look on the map, we've come from the farm out here, taken a left. So that Unial here, the west of the map, is the second one on the list. We're going to head up and go around, and then the other one is over here, more to the east. Well, actually, it's almost central, really. That's the first one on the list. So there's only 3 sell points. And it depends what sort of farming you want to do. Like I say, you might not want to touch forestry at all. So whilst you can kind of go right the way in there, what I would say though is I wasn't sure if you could access it. So I drove right the way up to the north of the map and right in through the forest. There's a lot of grass up there, so if you were to use something like the T-Rex tree mulcher harvester removal tool, You could clear a load of those trees fairly quickly, including the stumps, and have some big grass areas, assuming it will let you cut the grass up there. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. And just like that, we're here at the second farm, which is your pig farm, and your dialogue box is just there. This will hold 300 pigs. Your straw trigger for bedding is inside here. Your feed trigger is just here. And your water trigger is just on the end there because the trough is there. The manure point for the pigs is here. And the slurry point, I think, is around the front, if I'm not mistaken. Slurry point is just there. Now, this bit here, I thought initially was the feed trigger. It's not. I did try to put some feed in there. The feed trigger is definitely around the side because that's where I end up feeding them from. So that's your pigs, and like I say, that will hold 300. And if we come around the side here, we'll get our chickens. Now, the chicken building itself isn't accessible. You can't get into it. You can't open any of the doors or anything like that. Egg boxes will spawn here at the front. If we come around the sides here, we've got a dialogue box, which is just here. This will hold 400 chickens, and our feed trigger is just there, and the chickens will appear in this enclosure round the back. Like I say, farm management start from scratch. You can still buy them, you can still feed them, but unless you buy that periphery bit, which is knocking on 10 million, you don't own the land technically, which means, I mean, you've got some open space here. You could put some placeables down, whatever it might end up being, but unless you own it, you can't place anything. So it's a little bit of a dilemma. From here then, we will continue on. Bit we're heading towards the east of the map. We've got a bit of a cluster of the, what's it called? The Commerce de Bestio. We've got a line point, we've got the store and the biogas all pretty much on top of each other. Like I say, the map itself, the terrain, I like the sweep of the terrain. And the other thing I probably should have pointed out, the fact it is poppy plains. We have got poppies absolutely everywhere. So there aren't any other flower types that I've come across, but I do like these splashes of red everywhere, which I guess is what it's supposed to be, isn't it? It is a fictional map, but it is inspired by the Picardy area in the Somme in France, hence the poppies. So to our left, the biogas plant. 2 silage clamps. Just there. Our cell point to put into the digesting system. Just there. And our digestate point, our byproduct that we get out of it. Just there. Just marked those 2 hazard bits under the pipe. The other thing I'm really liking is the kind of the detail, the kind of weathering effect and little patches of grass, and it doesn't seem too clinical. I think the balance is just right. I mean, again, that's my own personal opinion, but I do like that. And in this side we have got the Commerce de Bestio, which is one of the 3 main sell points. That's just down here. We have our store for buying machinery just there. We've got our customize, repair, sell point there. The reset isn't here. The reset point is at the main farm, the start farm, where we started opposite the sleep trigger. So I suppose that gives you the option if you want to buy stuff and don't want to drive it over. It's not a huge map, but you can reset straight back to your farm if you wanted to. And there is a line point just over there in the corner as well. So where have we come so far on the map? Well, from there we went to Nial. We came up to the pigs and the chickens, drove up the main road here, and we came out to Biogas plant, lime station we just looked at in the corner, the main store, commerce de Bestio, there's a fuel point there as well on this little triangle. We're now going to head down the map. I'll show you what I mean in a second. I'm just going to cut across there and we'll have a look in the wooded area. The second of the Unials, and then we're going to head out to the dairy, the laiterie, and the animal dealer. And that, in essence, is the map. I mean, there's not a lot else to it. I hope it does get an update fairly quickly. Like I said, there is the option with the government subsidy signs that you can bypass the problem if you want to. And again, that's a personal choice. Right, if we cut across here, and you'll see what I mean about the forested areas. You can access them, they're not off limits or anything like that. You don't hit a barrier or anything. But when you come into them, you will see there is a mix of all different sorts of trees. Those bendy ones, there are some silver birch type ones further up on the northern part. Oh yeah, like these ones here. But then we do have mixing amongst those some sort of firs. I don't think we've got any pines. I think we've definitely got firs. So as far as logging went, if you wanted to put a placeable sawmill down, you could, but there's not a huge amount of logging you could do. A lot of this would really be more tree removal. We do have this kind of grassy texture on the ground around us, so you can access it if you want to, depending on how you want to go about all of that. The next of the new Unials, I think so. Coming up next, then we'll take that sharp fork and back on ourselves and head out to the dairy. Just looking down my list, if there's anything I've missed. I did mention there was no silo off the start, didn't I? Did I? There isn't a silo when you start, and that's possibly an issue if you don't own the land. You can't place anything, so not starting with a silo, again, could be an issue. Second of the sell points. Or third now, isn't it? The second of the Unials, just there. And then we'll head out to the east in just a moment. I think the other thing I'm noticing, or I'm kind of feeling from it, is because of the lack of traffic. And it's weird because sometimes you're on maps and traffic can really annoy you. It just feels uninhabited. It's hard to describe, to explain. I don't know, it just feels a bit lifeless. Does that make sense? And it is that catch-22 of too much traffic, and it can drive you absolutely bonkers, especially depending on the speed that it's set at. But not encountering any. But I suppose if you're in a very remote part of any countryside anywhere in the world, you know, you might not encounter a vehicle for hours, I suppose. So, you know, it may reflect this region absolutely perfectly. So right out here on the eastern edge of the map comes the last of the points we're going to be looking at, and it's this here. So it says up on there laiterie, I think it says laiterie cooperative. Now the sell point and the animal dialogue box appear to be in the same place. If I come down into here and press L3, we get a dialogue box come up for animals. But if I come back out just a little bit and we go across one and go to laiterie, add tag, it tags there as being where the sell point is for the dairy as well. So the sort of dairy and dialogue box sell point is right on top of each other. I assume both of those will work. I think they can operate separately. It's not like having two cell points right next to each other, which might cause an issue. But that's it. That's the map. We've been around all of it. We came down past there, cut back up. Here's where we are at the moment. And that's the map. That's Les Plains du Cocorico, the Poppy Plains by AGModding. I hope you found this useful and informative in some way, shape or form. If you have, please give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.